You might have heard it mentioned a parameter. So in our model of a function, which I did as a square block, I wrote input and I had output. Okay, we'll come to the output in another video, but the input is what we're interested in. What we input, the name we give to the input comes from the word parameter. And let's have a look how we would do that in code by a very simple example. So if you look at our previous example, this greeting had a print statement and had the word hello, and this had goodbye. Both of these functions are identical except for the text inside. So what happens if we wrote a function which said out, and what it did is you passed it, bear with me a second, you passed it a string. So let's just say we're going to pass it the letter, we're going to pass it our, what should we call it, text. Okay, then all it does inside is it outputs text. Now have a look at and compare this function to these two. And this is quite a crucial difference in terms of raising your level of programming. If you understand this, that's straightforward, and you understand how to use it in this program, which is called main. If you understand this one, you notice that the string is hard coded inside the function. But if I put a parameter, that is an input value, that's what I'm talking about when I say parameter. Okay, so when I write a function, I call it out, and I have something in here, that's my input into this function. Okay, the stuff that goes on in that bracket, that's the input. So let's come back to the code. So I'm passing it some text, and then all the function does inside is print it. Now, what's nice about this example, and I would encourage you to think about it a little bit more, is that that's a general name. It could say output to console. You can make it as long or short as you like. And when I teach the Java and when I go on, I encourage students to create a library of small and useful functions. Print is perfectly fine. This example is perhaps too trivial. But look down here. Instead of writing greeting, let's put a comment. Let's write out and let's pass it the text. So let's shove that over there. So instead of calling the function greeting, let's pass it the text and pass it anything we like. Right? Instead of writing goodbye, which is again a very, very one-off specific function, right? Its only purpose is to display the terms goodbye. And instead of that, let's use our function called out and put in the phrase goodbye. Now, a couple of observations occur here, and it's really worth bearing these in mind. The first to notice, the first thing you might or might not notice is that out is a general name for a function that defines some activity, right? It isn't saying goodbye or greeting, because both greeting and goodbye are both examples of this. But by making the parameter the varying element, passing it to it, you create one function to do what all these two separate functions do. And so you tidy up your code, you make it more closer to what we consider to be better quality code. Right, let's run main and it does exactly the same. What's interesting is that I can just say, hello Nad, with a very simple change of what I pass it in one location at the heart of my program, right, which is my main, and then I can just test that works, and it works, right? If I use this way of coding where I just hard code and I don't pass parameters into it, then you end up with a situation where you have to scatter, all your code is all over the place. This helps organize your thinking and your code. So I would encourage you to look at this example and ask yourself as you go through the teaching material, can you take simple functions which do very similar things and look at what they do and generalize them and give them a name?